All right, so I just recorded a 30-minute video, and it wasn't recording. So, take two. Let's do this. Why does Artifact use the monetization model that it does? Very TLDR version, so you can leave this video. There is a target audience of players that enjoy the monetization model that Artifact is using. That for those people, myself included, to be upfront. For those people, it improves the experience of playing the game. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about why the fuck that is, because that doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense. You're probably thinking like, this model is exploitive as fuck. It's so expensive, you know. Come on, Yakri, what the fuck, man? They're gonna charge me an arm and a leg, and I don't want to spend this much money on it. And you gotta spend money to do every fucking mode. Come on, what is good about this? Okay, so I'm gonna link this article that I just got it up here as a background, really, more than anything. I'll link this article in the video if you want to read it and get some more in-depth thoughts on it from me. Although this video is my more up-to-date thoughts. This was written a month ago. But basically the thing is like, let's take a look at the gauntlet mode, right? Let's look at the gauntlet. It's a $1 entry, and you have a chance to win prizes if you win enough games. The point is that winning prizes and costing an entry fee to win prizes does not work very well unless the cards themselves have value. Why is that? Because you want to award cards as a prize. You want to award a pack of cards as a prize because, well, frankly, gambling is fun. Yes, card packs are gambling. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Gambling is fun, and winning prizes is also fun. And winning prizes where you don't know what they are and you get a bunch of different things is extra fun. And people will say stuff like, well, come on, Yakri, you could still do that with a cosmetic-only game. You could win cosmetics, and people could spend money to have the chance to win the cosmetics, right? And that's true. That's completely true. However, there's a big problem, which is that cosmetics are more time-consuming to produce than pretty much fucking anything else in game design. New card packs take 0 time to produce, other than the time you already took to create your game, and you know what goes into that. And so it's very efficient to reward card packs. And if they rewarded cosmetics, what would end up happening is that most of the cosmetics would become garbage super fast. It's kind of the same things happens with cards, but maybe if they had some super rare ones, they would stay rare for a while. But the thing is that with cosmetics, you only need like one. And because the cosmetics won't really hold any value, and because there won't be enough variety of them, and because it doesn't double up your the developer's investment in terms of time, right, the way cards do, it means that they just can't, there won't be enough cosmetics for it to be a fun and engaging reward. And the thing is that when you have this card collection, game mechanic, people enjoy collecting the cards, for one, and for another, you can release a new set, and the new set has cosmetics, all the art for the cards, right? And that's work you had to do anyway. And now it's also doubling as the prizes for your rewards, and people are also playing this mode to build their collection for the next set, and and your players are having fun doing that. And so it's kind of a win-win-win-win from that line of thinking, right? People, I'm sure someone will come on and say, it's not a win-win-win-win. What about us who lose because it costs so much fucking money? I know. But the point is that these things compound on each other, right, in this system. And the other thing is that you can still have cosmetics, right? They could still add cosmetics to it. They can add cosmetics for money, and they can add cosmetics for winning these modes that are paid entry on top of the cards. They can still do that, but you can't go like the other way, right? If the cards are free, then you have to only cosmetics have any meaning. Okay, so I think that's like, it doesn't explain the whole thing, but that is a good, it's indicative of the whole system, right? And why they chose it. Because basically people enjoy the gambling model. Frankly, there are a lot of people who like gambling. Of course, you should gamble responsibly, but I think actually, for those who do not have a gambling addiction, it's perfectly fine. Just the same way that if you're not an alcoholic, there's nothing wrong with drinking safely and responsibly. And I'm a little offended by the people who disagree with that, frankly. I mean, if you don't want to do it yourself, that's fine. Just, you know, when they get in everyone else's business about it, right? Anyway, just a personal opinion. So, what's the big deal with the rest of the system? Well, the rest of the system is kind of required for this gauntlet, these gauntlet rewards to exist, for the prize rewarding modes to exist the way that they do, so that they can potentially stack up with any cosmetics. I lost my train of thought there, but I outlined it a little bit more in this article if you want to read through that. I'm not going to say this is the numero uno perfect system. This is optimal. I mean, really the perfect system would be that there's some game company that's richer than God and doesn't need money for any reason, just builds the perfect, true, optimal, best competitive card game ever made, and it's 100% free, including all the cosmetics. And we just work for hat rewards that are just like a little trophy that goes in your profile. It's the only thing you can grind for, and that's all there is. I mean, in terms of customer reward, but or customer friendliness, right? But they're basically trade-offs with all the other monetization systems, and you know, Valve does need to make a certain amount of money with this game, and they also need a good means of injecting money into the tournament system, right? So I think part of it is that it's quite possible that Valve just doesn't believe that with a card game like this, that cosmetics will be as profitable as they are in Dota. And I'm not a marketing person, so I really couldn't say. I'll just say that, you know, they're very good at what they do, and they probably have a good reason for going with this over other models. And of course, I'm just putting forward, because a lot of people seem to miss this, that again, there is a target audience for this kind of monetization system as well as this kind of game, and it feeds very well into the like competitive focused nature of the game, right? That you have this very easy for Valve reward system for us players that doesn't cost them a lot of money to keep operating, right? Not any really, and which we find fun, at least, you know, the target audience. So that's why Valve uses this monetization model. Basically, there are players, the people who are going to be playing Artifact, who like it, and there are a lot more players who will tolerate it, and it will make them a lot of money. And additionally, it has this. I don't want to get into it too much because the video is supposed to be a little bit of a shorter thing than my article. It's probably not going to end up that way because I'm too long-winded. It has advantages for the more broke players out there, over Hearthstone even, right? And in particular, this is one thing that I intend to do a lot of participation in, and maybe I'll link the subreddit for this in the video description as well. But there's already someone creating a pauper community subreddit, so you can play pauper Artifact. I think pauper Artifact, where you play only with cheap cards, you know, your deck, there'll be probably a cap on deck cost, is going to be a lot of fun. And I think that in many ways, that at least will be cheaper and more viable than playing Hearthstone at all, for example. No grinding required. Go spend the initial $20, spend maybe another $10, maybe $20 more for a total of like $40 on the game, and suddenly you have a huge pauper card collection. Maybe you play Gauntlet a couple times when the next set rolls around, and you trade around your cards for a bit for that, and now you've got your pauper collection for the next set, because commons are going to be worth like absolutely nothing. So yeah, pauper is going to be a huge amount of fun, and I think that's pretty much indicative of the advantage to this kind of system, right? Which is that someone like me, who likes spending shitloads of money on dumb hobbies, can spend $200 on Artifact, no problem. And the cards that I'm going to resell onto the market will drive prices down, and which in turn means that you can have this kind of game that's very expensive, and where you can milk your wealthier players for a lot of money while making it very cheap for your less wealthy players, while still making a fairly expensive game and making a really large profit. And it's not like all sunshine and roses, but there are upsides to this model versus just charging like $60 for the base game and then like an additional $40 per set or whatever, or 20 per set. Yeah, anyway, or even having like a 300-hour grind, but it doesn't cost you any money. which I would much rather spend $200 than engage in another fucking 300-hour grind. Although I know it's really ironic coming from someone who makes Warframe videos, but that's like a whole nother story. Anyhow, so yeah, there's that. I think I've over-explained it enough. You can read my article if you want to see read more details on that. Let's talk about another thing that I wanted to add on to this. I don't think it deserves its own video, but there are these people who are making some pretty ridiculous claims. In fact, I would say there are these people, there are some people, let's say some people instead of these people, there are some people who are outraged that Artifact will use matchmaking in the paid gauntlet mode, okay? And the reason that they're outraged is because they want to be able to win more games than they feel they will be able to if the matchmaking is fair. Basically, in their words, it's like, it's very unfair to have to play against an equally skilled player, because if you have to play versus someone just as good as you every game, then you might not be able to win 60 or 70% of your games. You might actually have a fair fight, and that would be totally unfair. Yeah, so that is actually that's not a misrepresentation of their argument actually at all, and that's why I'm actually bringing this up in the first place. So there are some people who say that is a misrepresentation of their argument. Like this one guy said, he said to me that I'm misrepresenting his argument. He doesn't want to play against noobs. He just wants to play against people that aren't as good as him. You can win more games, right? Okay, I kind of feel like I haven't misrepresented his position at all. So their point is basically that in Hearthstone, or in a game where you will be randomly matched up with people, then if you're in like the upper 70% of players or whatever, you'll be able to win a huge amount of your games, right? You'll be able to win the majority of your games, like 60%, 70% win rate type deal, and you'll be able to get huge amounts of rewards. And everyone who's like 50% of the 50% point of the population and under will just be getting crushed over and over and over and over again every game, basically. And they feel that is super fair, and that's what Artifact should have. And Valve doesn't agree, and I 100% agree with Valve. And the reason is this, basically, that this sort of system from a Hearthstone, I get the appeal to having this potential where if you're pretty good at the game, you're like quite good, but not a pro player at all, you can go infinite and you can just keep playing over and over again and getting your rewards. I get the appeal to that. I do. It seems very nice, but you have to do it at the expense of the new players. You have to do it at the expense of the not that great players. And actually, it's a very mean, aggressive thing, I think, actually, for such a supposedly casual focused game to have. To not have actual full MMR matchmaking in Arena. And it's what a lot of card games have done. But Artifact is going to have matchmaking in a way that simulates a tournament style, right? So you go in, you haven't played any games yet, you get matched up against a similar MMR player, just loosely similar, same ballpark as you, player who hasn't played any games yet, and you play, and maybe you lose. Then you get to play against someone else who's also lost a game. Okay? And that's how it goes, who's also in that bracket. And that's how it goes. And it's pretty fair. And it means that you're not going to be, if you're in the upper 70% of players or whatever, or that's the wrong way to say that. If you're in the, excuse me. If you're in the upper 30% of players, say, then you are going to play against people who are in maybe the upper 50 to 20% of players or something like that, or 40 to 20% of players, and you will never play people who are new to the game, and you will never play people who are in the bottom half of players at all. And that's fair. That is actual fairness. Playing against someone who is equally as good as you is shockingly fair, and it means that you won't be able to profiteer off of the competitive mode, probably, unless you're very good. But it means that you're actually going to get a more competitive mode, and the game will be more fair to new players. The game will be more fun for new players. The game will be more fun for medium skill level players and low skill level players. And the game, it'll be better for the game's player base, and it'll be better for the game from a perspective of being a competitive player who wants to be challenged and get better at the game. It's only going to be worse from the perspective of someone who wants to get their freaking loot by winning again, but at all means necessary, even if that means not actually having to challenge themselves. So I think it's just a really ridiculous. I think it's a really ridiculous viewpoint. I cannot believe this is actually something that's being taken like seriously, and there are posts supporting it on Reddit. There are people shouting this on Twitter. It's ridiculous to me. Absolutely ridiculous. Hopefully they're all going to fucking leave, and we won't have to deal with them again. So that'll be that. And there's another thing I wanted to bring up, which was there's this video that got pretty popular on the subreddit by a player who's in the artifact beta, and he was in the beta tournament, and he lost in the beta tournament, I believe, before the top 8, because unless he has a different name or something in game, because I watched the top 8 tournament and didn't see him in there, but I missed some of the group stage stuff. So he says, according to this guy, and this is people are like loving to parrot this, and I think this is just trending right now because it's fun to shit on the game at the moment, mostly because people are mad about other things. And he says that the draft tournament mode is pure luck. I don't think he used the phrase pure luck. I think he used the phrase like luck based, or primarily luck based, or involving much more luck than skill, something along those lines. And So according to this guy, it's just luck that he lost. He actually could have won it. Joel Larson, who went completely undefeated in that tournament, of course, just luck. Definitely was not exactly. It's not like he was the favored to win player or anything. It's not like he was pretty much the only person to play. The next best thing to flawless artifact, as far as I could tell. I watched the games with him in it. I watched a lot of other people's games, and the funny thing was, when I watched him play, I didn't see him make any mistakes. Now, maybe he did, and I'm too dumb to see him. But every single other player made mistakes that I could actually spot. So, yeah, whether or not it's just that I was too dumb to see his mistakes, they were at the very least significantly less obvious and more minor than all the people he played against, and that showed through pretty blatantly in the bit where he won every single game. Anyhow, so I guess my point here is that this guy is arguing that he also said that he doesn't like the draft mode. He thinks it's bad. That the draft mode is luck based and bad, and that's and it has nothing to do with the fact that he lost in that exact mode recently and is bitter about it. Absolutely nothing at all. Total coincidence. But yeah, I can't take him seriously, or at the very least, I'm highly skeptical of this view, because all the other players who seem to have done better than him for the most part do not agree with this viewpoint. Or at the very least, the very common, what's what I'm looking for here, view expressed by the better players has been that the better player almost always wins. Artifacts gameplay, especially the draft mode, is very skill-based. There's a little bit of a divide on whether people think like draft or constructed requires more true skill, but that's like a whole different argument. And in fact, one of the best players, if not the best player, arguably, won. So yeah, no, totally luck-based. I'm sure if I was in that tournament, I totally could have just maybe drafted 3 Lunas and just, sat back and let the game play itself, and I would have won. Totally. Anyway, I guess this video is just kind of my shit post about how I don't really like the artifact community at the moment, or at least the people who are currently populating the Reddit and Twitter. They seem like twats to me. I was gonna make like a twatter joke, but like that is so overdone. I guess I just did it. Oh god. Anyway, point is that think critically about these things before coming to conclusions, please, for the love of God, whatever conclusions you do come to. So at least that way you made an effort, right? Yeah. Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I think at least with the monetization model thing, like, some of the things people say they have a point, you know? I mean, there's sometimes where people are like, oh, it's totally irrational that Valve's doing this. It's not irrational. Obviously, they have a plan, and they expect us to make them shitloads of money. And then also people are like, oh, it's just a cash grab. That's also wrong, because like I've stated, there are clear reasons for why you would want to do this, in the sense that there are players who enjoy it more. So obviously not just a cash grab. But there are other complaints that are pretty legitimate. And I wouldn't even say it's the most consumer-friendly business model or anything. Just that there are good reasons for it. Anyhow. But these other two things, the comments on draft, you know, like, it's not like he couldn't be possibly correct, but I don't believe him, and you know, there are a lot of people who are probably better than that random guy who don't agree with him as well, you know, that are also obviously much better than me, because I haven't even played the game yet. So yeah, that's kind of dumb. And then the other thing about people feeling that matchmaking to fight equally skilled opponents is unfair. I was actually speechless when I first read it, and I'm still, other than just throwing random insults at people, like, I'm just flabbergasted. Anyway, I'm done with the internet for today. Thank you all for watching. If for some ungodly reason someone finished this video, and I'll see you all later. Yakri out.